Here's something some of you might not know. I run a private mastermind for a tight-knit group of farming families called the High Performing Families Accelerator Mastermind. It's not for families in crisis. It's for those 5 to 10 years out from succession, still driving business success, but smart enough to start preparing the next generation for what's next. I personally handpick every family in the group. Why? Because this is the exact room I want my family to be in. Strong values, big futures, no egos, no drama. We work on the stuff that matters, growing and protecting family wealth, keeping family relationships strong, and focused on ultimately creating a smooth and successful succession. We cap it at 15 families, and there are only 3 seats left. So if you're serious about the future, if you want to be in a room where you and your kids can level up, go to agricoach.com.au/prepare. G'day, welcome to the Agricoach podcast. For families on the land who want to grow their family's wealth and prosperity across the generations. I'm your host, Ben Law, and I'm the financial bloke. G'day, and welcome back to the Agricoach Wealth and Wisdom podcast, the show for families who want more than just financial success. They want to grow and protect their wealth, strengthen family relationships, and maintain their success across the generations. I'm Ben Law, the financial bloke, and today we're diving into what it really takes to build a 100-year family business that's not just still standing, but still innovating. One of the biggest privileges I have in my coaching work is getting to work alongside some of the country's most successful and future-focused farming families. The ones who don't just chase production and profit, they're thinking about people, purpose, and performance. They're building something that lasts. These are what I call high-performing families. And today, you're going to meet one. The Morrissey family have been serving the Australian livestock industry for over a century, and they're not slowing down. Based on the Darling Downs in southern Queensland, they're running a cutting-edge, multi-generational livestock handling business called Morrissey & Co. You've probably seen their calf cradles, crushers, yards or stock equipment on farms across the country. But what you often don't see is the family behind the brand, the values, the alignment, the conversations that happen behind the scenes that keep the wheels turning and the family moving forward. Today I'm joined by Tom Morrissey, who alongside his siblings Sally and John are stepping up into the business, helping take the reins and shape the next chapter. And like many next gens inside strong family businesses, Tom's learning that leading isn't just about working hard or making good decisions. It's about growing yourself, understanding your family, and thinking strategically for the long haul. We're going to unpack what it takes to keep a family business strong for over 100 years and also some of the lessons they've learnt as part of our high-performing families community. This is a story of legacy, innovation, and a family in action. So without further delay, welcome, Tom.
Yeah, thank you very much, Ben. Thanks for having me on. A little bit nervous, but pretty excited. So, yeah, thanks for having me on.
Yeah, well, me too, Tom. I'm excited to have you guys on because you're doing some great things. And, you know, it's funny, everyone comes on the podcast who's not a regular and is a little bit nervous. And then by the end of it, it's easy as. So we'll make it as easy for you as we can, Tom.
Yeah, thank you very much. I know I listen to a lot of podcasts, but this is my first one. So it's, definitely a bit different being on the speaking end of one.
Totally. So now, Tom, I know your family story, your story and your family story relatively well from working together in our High Performing Families Accelerator Mastermind group. But for listeners who might not know the Morrissey name, can you give me a bit of a quick snapshot of just simply where you're based, who's involved, and what Morrissey & Co. looks like today? And then we'll duck into the family history after that.
Yeah, so Morrissey & Co. were manufacturers of cattle handling equipment in the Darling Downs in Queensland, or Western Downs. So we're located in a small town called Gendowie, so there's about 1,000 people there, and we've been there since 1910. So we're probably more known for making calf cradles and branding irons, and we sell a lot of our products into Northern Australia, so Queensland, Northern Territory, Western Australia, and a little bit into New South Wales as well. But basically, we're 115 years this year. My brother, sister and I are 5th generation in the business. We've got 25 staff in our little small town, and that's a bit of a rundown on where we are today. We're slowly building the business and going into new sort of products. So we're getting into the solar-powered crushers and changing into more of an automation type cattle equipment, so we can sort of talk about that a bit later on, I think.
We will, mate. We'll get stuck into that. Don't you worry. I've got plenty of questions there. And, it's interesting, like your calf cradles are probably the most famous part of the business. And I know when I first, I think my dad and I were down at the World Angus Forum in Tamworth a few months ago, and Dad was there, and also Sally, your sister. And I remember my dad saying to me, he says, bloody hell, he says, I remember when I first immigrated to Australia from England back in 1964 or whatever it was, they were dairy farmers in England and came out. He said, literally, when we went looking for cattle equipment, the thing that was commonly said was, if you're going to get a calf cradle, you've got to get a Morrissey. And that was back in the 60s. And I think it's still like that today.
Yeah, we've been around. We've been making them for a fair while. I know we love hearing it. A lot of the customers, when we go to field days, that's sort of one of the touch points we get a lot with our customers. And we often get that feedback that they're still using the calf cradles that their grandparents bought. We actually did a little competition to see who's still using the oldest calf cradle out there. And there was a family down near Armidale that were using one of the wooden calf cradles that we would have made back in the 1920s, 1930s. So, yeah, we've been making them for a fair while, and they seem to last a long time, which is a good thing.
Yeah, well, it's a great legacy to leave behind, but it's not good for business, because I know there's a lot of equipment out there that doesn't last all that long these days. So now also, mate, so there's yourself and John and Sally, and you're in, I think you and John are in your 30s and Sally's in her late 20s, and you've also got mum and dad in the business, haven't you? So they're still operating in the business?
Yeah, so mum and dad are in the business. So sort of our roles, mum does all the office staff and financing, and then dad helps with the brands a little bit, but mainly he's running our 2 farming properties. John is in the brand making and doing like the lean manufacturing, bringing that project into the shed. Sally and her partner Reese are in the business as well, and they're in the sales and marketing side of things. So then I'm in the production management and new product development. So we've sort of all got our own departments in the business and then all come together and report to each other.
Yeah, and work well as a team. Now, getting on to that 100 years in agriculture, or what is it, 100, did you say 115?
115, yes.
115, yeah. And I've get the privilege of basically seeing firsthand how you can see those solid values within your family. And I think that's been a really big reason why it's lasted 100 years. But from your personal perspective and what you've seen coming into the business, mate, what's made it possible for the Morrissey name to keep going strong across multiple generations? Like you said, you're the 5th generation. What do you think's been the secret sauce behind that in your mind?
It's a little bit hard to say exactly what it is, but I think a lot of it is our focus on our customers. So everything we do is based on them. We do a lot of sort of talking to customers and seeing what they like and working out what breaks and trying to make things last forever. So sort of our value is creating products that last generations, and that's something that we focus on a lot in our business. So people that are buying things today, it's a bit of a throwaway sort of environment. You buy something and lasts a couple of years, then you buy something new. Whereas we're trying to create products that last generations. And I think...
Well, you're not trying, you have.
That's right, yeah. Well, we have. And I think farmers really appreciate that, because there's nothing worse than getting in the cattle yards. I know that's where we have a lot of our family arguments, is in the yards. But if the equipment's broken, that just makes things even harder. So that's sort of our focus, is keeping that sort of our family to your family generational products.
You've built a serious business, scaled, profitable, and something to be proud of. But here's the question. What happens next? If your kids are now in their 20s and you're 5 to 10 years from stepping back, this is the moment to get everyone on the same page before decisions get forced on you. That's exactly what will help you do at the High Performing Families Roadmap Workshop, back this October by demand. In 2 days off farm, you'll create a clear 10-year family roadmap, align on where you're headed, and get the next generation genuinely engaged in the future. But here's the thing to note. If you're considering coming to the workshop, we only have 3 seats left in our High Performing Families Mastermind group. And when those seats are full, I'm not going to have capacity to run any more workshops. So this is most likely the last roadmap workshop for quite a while. Want to know more? Head on over to agricoach.com.au/take action and grab your seat.
I think also too, from an outsider looking in, is you're a real tight-knit unit as a family. Like, you're obviously all working within the business, which has its challenges in itself with different personalities, different styles, and it's not perfect for everyone. I'm not trying to suggest that, every day is amazing as a family, but you really, like, you can just see at the core of what you're doing is, we want to provide these intergenerational products, but we're thinking about our generation, generations before us, and we're also thinking about the next gen, because I know we've got the sixth gen starting to get on get a couple of foals on the ground, shall we say.
Yeah, that's right. I know Mum's definitely the glue that keeps us all together. We do all have very similar personalities, and we're all sort of people that don't like creating arguments and keep things to ourselves. So Mum's definitely the mediator there that keeps everyone on the same page, which is really great. But yeah, you're right. We've got a lot of past knowledge that's been passed down from different generations, but now that we're growing, we've got all the kids home, so we have to think about the future as well. So my brother's got 2 young boys, and then I've got one on the way, which is pretty exciting.
Very exciting.
Yeah, so we've got to start thinking about, 3 families going forward, how the business can support 3 families. So
yeah. And I think that's a really important point. Like, I think the world of your mum. She's an amazing lady, and you can just see that real laser focus on, I'm a smart businesswoman, and we want to make money and be productive, and we want to be sustainable and provide for the families, but also being proactive around making sure that if the family falls apart or the family has troubles, the business is going to suffer rather than the other way around. And so, yeah, it's amazing. And that's a real common thread I actually see in really successful families. And I think we've got, 4 or 5 families within our community that are over 100 years. And you can really see how there's 2 things. There's this, and I might get shot for this, Tom, for saying these things, but there's usually a real family orientation around everything that they do. And there's quite often a strong matriarch in the family or a lady in the family that is the glue that holds the family together. And without that, when things do become difficult and challenging, that's when families can start to fracture and fall apart. And I think we underestimate the value of the glue in the family. And I talked with Lenise Connigan when I interviewed her a couple of months ago about how important that is. Do you guys often talk about that as a family, like having that glue?
I guess we don't sort of talk about it directly, but we all know that sort of Mum is the one that we all vent to, and then she's the one that calms things down and then organises meetings for us to talk about the things that we'd spoken to her perhaps without Dad there or without John there if we're arguing about things. So she does the role so well. And I know that talking about how good she is with the business and with the family, it's such a hard mix, because I know, doing things in the business sometimes can be direct and unpersonal, but you're dealing with your family in the business. So it actually makes it, you have to have a bit of a lighter touch sometimes so that you're not splitting up the people that you love because of business decisions or arguments that you have. And I know that when Mum and Dad took on the business, sort of Dad's old man passed away when he was just finishing his trade. So they were thrown in the deep end pretty early on without knowing how to run the business and not getting that full mentorship. So Mum and Dad are really aware of that and trying to make sure that we're not going through that sort of hard takeover. So that's sort of what they're focusing on now with us.
Yeah, and I really noticed that, mate. Like, there's a real drive in both Mum and Dad. Like, we've talked about Mum, but Dad's the same. And I know you can really see how there's this transferring of wisdom across the generations. That the fact of, as you said, with Dad, your grandfather passing away, how old was Dad? He must have been like 21 or something like that, was he?
Yeah, he was really early 20s. I think he was 22 or 23.
Yeah. And then being thrown in the deep end in a business that's a complicated business and then having to learn on the ropes. You can really see how the family's really wanting to make sure we don't lose all that wisdom over the last 100 years. But what I love to see as well, Tom, is how the current generation, Mum and Dad, are totally embracing the fact that we need to innovate and do things differently than we were in the past. So it's like we're taking the best lessons from the past and then we're bringing in the youthful exuberance and intellect and drive of the next generation, which is this perfect intersection between enthusiasm and wisdom, which I love to see. And so I suppose where I want to go there is, like with you two, the 3 of you stepping up, and all 3 of you are stepping up massively. How have you seen the business evolve over the last, let's say, 5 years? Because I know Sal's been back in the business a year, but how have you seen it over the last 5 years under your influence?
Well, I think when I first started, so I've been in the business for 10 years now. In the last 5 years, when I first started my apprenticeship, we made every single part, drilled every single hole, did everything in-house. And we've slowly got some advice from some outside manufacturing sort of experts that have come in. And we're now doing things like getting CNC benders and laser cutters to cut some of our parts that, you know, where we were drilling each hole in-house, we can now get them laser cut and they're a perfect hole. Sort of introducing lean manufacturing, which has improved the flow of the workshop. We were a very old sort of style of manufacturing when I first started. You know, on top of the bender, there'd be just a chalkboard with a few gains and losses, and that's what you had to read to bend a bit of pipe. But now every bit of pipe's perfect because we get CNC benders, and we've just really improved our processes. And then Sally and Reese coming on board has improved everything in the office as well. Like they were working at Kilcoy Global Foods, which is a bit of a corporate background that they've brought in, you know, CRMs, and we're now trying to introduce an ERP system, which is getting our flow from sales all the way through to the production floor. So we're really modernising the manufacturing process, which has been really exciting coming from such an old business. And Mum and Dad did such a good job of what they've done, but it was just our little 1%ers that we're slowly improving on, which has been really quite exciting. And our throughput and our output has improved dramatically.
That's the secret to success. You don't need to throw the baby out with the bathwater. It's just incremental improvements. And you can see that's happening from all three of you, like John, yourself and Sally. Like everyone's bringing a different dynamic to the business and driving things forward. And, you know, like you said, the 1%ers, you do 1% a week, you're 50% better in a year. It's amazing what you can accumulate over the next 5 years or so.
Yeah, that's right. I think all those little 1%ers add up. I know we've still got a coal forge and anvil in there that we've used, the same hammers and anvils that our great-great-grandfather was using. But then we've got lathes and benders and all sorts of stuff that if they saw back in their day, they wouldn't have even believed it was possible to use some of these machines. So it's good having the mix in the workshop.
Yeah, and also too, I've noticed as well, like surrounding yourself with people. You've also, like you've brought in like John, yourself and Sally with completely different skill sets. And then you've also got Mum and Dad in there, so you're learning from the wisdom, but you actually actively engage outside help within the business to, I don't want to use the word modernise, but improve and innovate. And you're not afraid to do that. Was that a hard thing for you guys to do, or an obvious thing?
Yeah, well, originally when we first started, we got some advisors for lean manufacturing. So for people that don't know what that is, it's sort of the idea came from Toyota over in Japan. It's getting the flow of the workshop working so there's no wasted time in between jobs. But anyway, that's basically the idea of it. But we got some lean manufacturing advisors to come in, and I know it was really expensive when we first looked at it, but I think we've made that back tenfold already just with the little things we've changed. All the people that you get in as advisors, if you look at the ones that you want to look at and you decide, yeah, we want to go with them, every time we've done that, we've made massive improvements. We've brought someone in to sit on our chair for our meetings as well from a different background, just improving our meeting structures and getting everyone on the same page, regular finance meetings, bringing people in, and then people like yourself that have helped us with our family meetings. Every time we've gone and got some outside help or an advisor, it's been well worth it.
And finding those right people, and yeah, it's amazing how if you can just plug the right people in, and I know you're an accountant and they do an amazing job, and you're surrounding yourself with the right bank managers and etc. It just you are who you mix with, aren't you?
That's right. I think it's pretty important to sort of get your dream team together. So yeah, if you can pick those people well, they'll help you push forward with the business.
Yeah. And so the question, I suppose, I probably know the answer to this, but I want to sort of get your take for everyone listening. But I actually first met you and John and Mum at one of our roadmap workshops, and I could see that very, very early on, like you guys were hyper-driven, hyper-motivated, you had big objectives, big goals, you were willing to do the work, like you sat down, crunched the numbers out and went through it, but you were just as interested in the family side as the business, which, in my world, I see a lot of that, but out in the marketplace, if you go into any manufacturing or business, people just don't give the family side much thought, shall we say. And so what made you and the rest of the family decide to work on the family, not just alone on the gear and the systems and sales, etc.?
Yeah, I think it was sort of the missing link. We have weekly meetings about the business, but we pretty well hardly ever had any meetings about the family. And we're coming to a point where now, instead of just one family being mum and dad running the business, we're now supporting four. So we've got mum and dad, myself, John and his family, and then Sally and Reese. So it's important for us to all be on the same page as a family, because without the family running smoothly, I don't think the business can run smoothly, especially with kids coming through. John and his family are moving to Toowoomba, or moved to Toowoomba, so he's working fly in, fly out sort of thing. So it's just getting everyone on the same page and making sure that we're all ticking off our 90-day rocks in the business, but it's not affecting our family. I think your emotions are really important to be happy. Like, without having a good, steady set of emotions at home, you can't do the work at work as well as you possibly can. If you're thinking about those things, or if you got something in the back of your mind that's annoying you about the family or whatever, you just can't do your work as well as you possibly can without sorting those things out.
Yeah, and it's interesting because and we treat family differently to employees, don't we, in the business? Like, if you have a disagreement with one of the family, it affects you so much more than if it's one of your employees who's on the floor, or a sales manager, or a fabricator out the back. It's just a completely different outcome for you intellectually.
Yeah, I think, I don't know, a lot of the people listening to this probably are on family businesses as well, a lot of farmers. You know that if you've had an argument with your dad or your brother or something, and you go home and you're thinking about it while you're in bed at night, it's terrible. So I think working on everyone being more open and getting those issues out front, once you start talking about them, it's to people that you love, you usually work those things out, and you just feel so much more relaxed, and feels like there's a weight off you if you get through those issues up front rather than bottling them in. And when you do that, we've found that we can get on to ticking away at business stuff easier once those things are sorted out.
That's one thing I've noticed with Morrissey family is, if there is an issue, you're all willing to roll up your sleeves, have a meeting, and I've sat in and discuss issues openly, constructively, and get it out there. And you're almost, I know this isn't the right word, but lancing the boil. You've almost, like, you have that conversation, you bring it to the front, you sort it out, and you move on. Like, there's none of this build-up of resentment over decades. You're willing to do the work to get it. And I've seen you guys in action, in the sense that you're so busy in the factory and dealing with sales, and like, you're just packing up the truck to go down to Agquip down in Gunnedah. There's so much on, but you'll still prioritise, if there's a family discussion got to be had, it's just done. Like, there's no whinging, there's no complaining, which that's a really unique thing. I don't know if you know that, Tom. That's really unique out in the marketplace. Most people bury it down and won't talk about it for 2 years, if ever.
Yeah, thanks, Ben. Well, I think we haven't always done that. I think it's only been after talking to you and listening to your podcast that we've realised that we were bottling things up, and we do have to talk about it. But it was sort of one meeting that we had with the family. It was sort of, everyone was still keeping their stuff sort of bottled up, and we all left, and we thought, oh, that didn't really do much. Then we eventually had a bit of a breakthrough meeting where we sat there and everyone spoke about what they were actually feeling about. And we actually made some really good progress. And then after the meeting, we all stood up and gave each other a hug and said we loved each other. And then since then, it's just been full open. If something's really annoying you, we say it straight away. And it's just made things so much easier once you get to that point.
Totally. And just to be clear, you guys aren't the sort of, like, you're machinists, boilermakers, manufacturers, farmers. Like, you're not the sort to sit around and talk about your feelings and hug and tell each other you love you. Like, that's not a normal everyday thing for people in your position. So that's a big change from where you traditionally have come from.
Yeah, that's right. Like, usually you just bottle things up and keep it to yourself. It's a bit funny talking about your emotions, really, but Yeah, I'm a big advocate for it now. Sort of 6 months ago, I would have just kept everything to myself. But once you sort of break through that, once you realise it's just easier to talk about it. Once you get to that point, it becomes really easy. So
yeah, especially too when everyone wants the best. Like when you actually sit down and you say we want the best for the family here for everyone, and you all agree to be like that, then it makes it so much easier. It's when you've got people that don't want to think the best for the family, which is good. So now I want to duck into, if we can, into the business and talk a little bit about where the business is going. So you've got some big goals. So what's the vision for you and Sally and John over the next, let's just say 10 years, which will bring you to what'll that make you, 42?
Yeah, I'm 30 this year.
30, sorry. Yeah, John's.
Yep.
Yeah. So that'll make you 40. So what's the vision? Like what's the big, hairy, audacious goal? What's the exciting vision for the next 10 years? Because you're just about to have a bub. You'll have a 10-year-old running around. I've got a 9-year-old now. I can tell you it's a lot of fun. What's the big, exciting vision, mate?
Well, sort of our main value and main goal is to make farmers' lives easier. Sort of that's the thing put on our chalkboard at work. So to do that, a lot of the farming industry are struggling with staffing. So a lot of their products are going to the hydraulic products. And with our new first in the world hydraulic solar crush, we're sort of trying to tick off a few of those things. So it's a remote controlled hydraulic crush and it's solar powered, so people can have it out in the middle of nowhere where they don't have power at the yards, or if they don't want a generator ticking along there making noise and stressing out cattle, they can have something like that. And we've just recently added on a drafting system onto the front of that crush. So the way we're sort of going is trying to automate a lot of that process and mean that you don't need as many staff and you don't need that physical labour to use the products. So the way we're pushing is going into that automation, hydraulic operation, and trying to go into the new markets that we're getting into now. So traditionally, calf cradles and branding irons were mainly Northern Australia where our customers were, but with the new crushers that we've got now, we're sort of dipping our toes into those southern markets and also the feedlots. So we're really pushing into that.
It's amazing, mate. Look, I've seen the crush. I saw it when it was first started to be developed. When it was a drawing on essentially a piece of paper originally, and the development, and it's an absolute machine. Like it's an absolute weapon of a machine to see in action. And the thing that I found really fascinating when I saw it again up at Beef Week in Rockhampton was it's just silent. Like it's so quiet. So you're not getting banging and crashing and all that sort of stuff. The beast is totally restrained. There's no compressor going in the background noisily or a generator. It just works, which is just amazing. And I think more and more people are starting to look at that, but also the safety factor. I mean, I look at the way, with a little remote control that you guys that run the whole thing, talk us through the safety factor, because I was really surprised about how good a job it bloody does, even on a massive animal.
Yeah, that's right. So being remote controlled, you don't have to handle any levers, and you can actually work the race and bring animals up while opening the gates. You've got 50 metres of range with that remote control. And then you've got top and bottom squeeze, so you can restrain the animal, and it's also got the neck extension feature. So that means that you don't have to put your hand inside the crush to needle animals, and you can actually needle them from the front. So it's a lot safer than your traditional crushers that you have to put your hand in there and the animal's going back and forward and get your hand jammed trying to put a needle in, and you end up putting the needle in the wrong spot. So it's taken a lot of that movement out of it, which has been really good for guys that are doing a lot of needling, or if they've got people that aren't trained, if they've got backpackers or contractors in there and you're worried about people getting hurt. It sort of just takes a lot of that movement out of the animal. So yeah, that's sort of the focus of that crush, is safety and efficiency.
Yeah, because I look at it from a monetary point of view. Like if you have someone get hurt, I mean, and you get a workplace health and safety claim, especially in a very high risk job, I mean, that's going to cost you a fortune. And then also, like you were talking about, reducing the number of people actually having to be involved in processing, and I'm guessing at the same time increasing throughput. The number of animals you can process a day on some of these big places must be a huge return on investment. Yeah,
well, pretty much every customer that we've sold one to has said that it automatically deletes one person in the yards, so you're getting that labour saving already. And then it's also just the actual labour and hardship on your own body has been eliminated. I know one of our customers at Armidale said that generally on their old crush, which was a manual crush, his sister would do the backyards. Now she's happy to run the crush with the remote control, and he can do the preg testing while she's catching the animal. So it's also taking that physical strain out of it and deleting a person needed for running the back gate and the front gate of the crush or working the race. One person can work the race and the crush.
And also too, now you're talking about automation in the backyards as well. Again, this is talking about the future. Innovation is also being able to automate some of the gates at the back with hydraulic remote controls, etc. Is that the same thing?
Yeah, so it's more sort of in front of the crush, so for the drafting. So once they leave the crush, we can draft up to 7 different directions with the pump on the crush, the same as the crush pump. So you don't actually have to have any extra pump or motor. You can still run it off the same solar unit. It's just a plug-in system. And we're getting pretty close for that to be auto drafting as well. So hopefully in the next month or two, it'll be fully auto drafting off the NILS tag.
Fantastic. And also too, I know you Morrisseys are obviously with your calf cradles are built tough to last. Tell me about the longevity and the quality of the strength of the equipment too.
Well, we've been making the hydraulic calf cradles for probably 15 years now. So, a lot of the bigger company guys like the AACO guys and the NAPCO guys are all sort of going that way, and they give them a fairly good flogging. So we've got them down to a T now. We know what breaks. It's common for up to 60,000 head to go through some of those cradles every 2 years.
Wow.
And they've been out there for a while now. So, the longevity on those calf cradles is we've got them down to a point, and we're working on trying to get that same amount of longevity and quality throughout all of our products.
Yeah, it's fantastic. And then I noticed too with all the products, like they're replaceable parts as well. So if 20, 30 years from now, something wears out, you can just recut up, put another part on and off you go.
Yeah, we've made the crushers fully laser cut and bolt together for that reason, so that if something bends or gets rusted, you're not up for a whole new crush. You can just tell us what bit that you need and we can get it on the post for you. So it's a totally replaceable crush. So hopefully it'll be the last one you ever buy because you can just replace bits as you go.
Yeah, and also too, being blacksmiths, I'm guessing it's not made out of rubbish steel.
No, it's all Australian steel. We don't compromise on any of that quality. It's all Australian steel, and we'll never go to the cheaper stuff or outsource any of our welding. That's something we're pretty firm on.
Awesome. Now, is there anything else you think we need to tell the world about the Morrissey family or the Morrissey business? Is there anything else you want to pass on before we get to my famous last question?
Not really. Just, I suppose, we're doing a shed extension at the moment, which is pretty exciting. So all the guys in at work are pretty keen to have a new shed and some fresh concrete that's nice and level. So that's sort of what we're working on at the moment. So we will have a little bit of downtime while we knock down the paint shed and build a new one. But it's just getting through that stressful time. We're pretty excited about that.
Oh, it should be. Yeah, well, this will increase productivity. And obviously you've got Sally and Reese in there in the marketing side putting the word out. And I've noticed you see a lot of it on the social media these days and out there, which she's doing an amazing job in there. Yeah,
Sally and Reese are doing such a good job with that. I know before that, all of our marketing was at field days, or we did the odd ad in the Queensland Country Life. But now having Facebook and LinkedIn and YouTube, it's really opened up the marketing game there. And Sally's done such a good job at not just filming the product working. She's actually gone and she does the stories about the people using our products and shows the landscapes of some of the beautiful farms that our customers have, like out in the outback, showing helicopters mustering and bringing them in for branding. So she does a really good job at telling the story of the people that are actually using our products, which has been really good.
Yeah. She's got the best job, has she?
Yeah, she's got a great job. Yeah.
Does a good job of it, her and Reese too, don't they?
That's it, yeah.
Excellent. Now, mate, as we start to wind up, one of the things that I like to ask everyone on the podcast, and with you being 30, if we go back too far, you'd be a child. But we like to say, if you could go back in a time machine and maybe we go back 5 or 10 years to when you were younger, or maybe even, with a child coming along, what you'd like them to learn, what's a lesson you'd like the next generation to learn earlier than what you learnt it?
Yeah, it's a bit of a hard one. I was thinking about it, and I think it was probably to get into reading a bit earlier. I've sort of only really got back into my reading in the last 2 to 3 years, but I think if there's any subject that you're thinking of or want help with, there's a book out there and someone's done it, and you can leverage off their knowledge and make less mistakes yourself. I think it's important to make mistakes, but if you can make less mistakes by reading books or listening to podcasts that other people have done. I know the podcast phenomenon has been so good. Like, I've got Bluetooth in my welding helmet, so I can listen to blokes like you chat all day, and you're actually learning while you're working. So I think if I could have got into that 10 years earlier or 5 years earlier, I think would be at you'd know a lot more, and you'd be, striving to kick some bigger goals earlier.
Yeah, no, I love that one. It's really good. And look, it's funny, Tom, when I first started the podcast, and I started talking about it about 5 years ago, and I remember someone looked at me and said, "You're going to do a podcast for people on the land? Like, who the hell's going to listen to a podcast, Ben?" And I said, well, in your case, like you said, you got a welding helmet on all day with your Bluetooth headphones. You've got plenty of hours to use it. And most farmers and graziers are sitting in tractors, on the back of horses, whatever they're doing. There's oodles of what we call net time, no extra time. And so why not take advantage of it? And, sometimes we listen to entertaining stuff, but there's some really great educational material out there and some really good people to listen to. So I totally concur, mate. And just wading through the BS that's out there and finding the good stuff, that's the hard part.
Yeah, that's right. I think you've got to, instead of it's not wasting time while you're working, but if you can also learn while you're working, it's sort of, it's unreal. And it's great that it's just at your fingertips now. You can download something while you're at the house, while you've got service, and listen to it on the tractor or while you're driving and you've got no service. It's unreal.
Yeah, I agree. And look, and these days too, sharing it with your mates, your friends, the amount of podcasts I get shared to me, episodes saying, hey, you should have a listen to this, Ben, is part of the value of it as well. It's so easy to flick it across to someone. You just pop it on a text. Wow, listen to this great episode, flipped it on the text, sent it off to someone, and they've got it. Click on their phone. It's not complicated. It's not emails. It's not all these other things. So it's so at your fingertips.
No, it's easy. It's great. And just want to say thanks, Ben, for what you're doing and putting out there as well. I know I've listened to pretty much all of your podcasts, and you learn something every time. So yeah, thanks for putting your stuff out there and getting people on to talk about themselves. And I think it's really good for other people to learn off each other, especially in the ag game where you don't actually get to go to the pub as often or talk to people. You can hear stories on things like this, and you might learn something. So
no, appreciate it, and thanks for coming on today. Hopefully the nerves have all gone now. You've done a great job. I think there's some awesome lessons in there for everyone, and you've got a great story to tell. And it wasn't that bad drawing the short straw, was it, when John and Sally stepped back and said, oh no, that's Tom's job?
Yeah, drew the short straw all right, but no, got through it. It was good. Thanks, Ben.
Awesome. Right, mate. Well, look, if anyone's interested in learning more about the Morrissey family, or they're interested in a cattle crush or a calf cradle, where do they go to? How can they find you online?
Just at morrisseyco.com.au, or look us up on Google and give us a call. We're also on Facebook and Instagram and LinkedIn. So just look us up, Morrissey & Co., and you'll find us.
Fantastic. And I'll put all the links in the show notes too, guys. So if you're on your phone or something like that you want to know, I'm always happy to put that up. So excellent. All right, Tom. Well, mate, I know you've got to get back. Everyone's packing to get the crushers and cradles down to Agquip. So you better get back there. Otherwise, they'll all think you've been slacking off.
That's it, mate. Thank you.
Awesome. I'll catch you next time.
No worries. Thanks, Ben.
All right, before we close out, I just want to pull a few key takeaways from today's chat with Tom that I reckon are really worth remembering if you're a family in business. Number one, focus on family strength, and financial strength will follow. Get the family side right, and the business side or the business success will follow. Number two, get outside help. You are who you mix with and who you take advice from. You've got to surround yourself with people who will challenge and help you grow. And that's from professional advisors, but also your peers, the friends and people that you actually mix with, which is a key part of what we try to focus on within our High Performing Families Accelerator Mastermind. Number three, have the conversations. Tom really shared how that being able to have those conversations that were needing to be had, but nobody felt like they could actually have, made a huge difference to the family and the way he felt. And if you go into these discussions genuinely wanting what's best for the family, you'll be amazed how much weight that lifts off your shoulders. And finally, Innovate consistently, keep learning, and remember the compounding effect of the 1%ers over time. And those were a few key points I wanted you to take away. But before we head off, I just want to say, if you're a grazier running an operation and you want to take some pressure off in the yards, do yourself a favor and check out their new hydraulic crush. It's seriously impressive, not only from a productivity point of view, but also from a safety of your family point of view. And what I'd say to everyone out there is there's other crushers out in the marketplace, but why not support a family that's been supporting Australian agriculture for the last 100 years, and fingers crossed we'll do it for the next 100. So support the local, support the small family business. Would be a great thing for the Morrissey family. Now that's it for this episode. I'm Ben Law, I'm the financial bloke, and remember, it's more important who you are than what you've got. I'll see you next time.